Hey everyone, it's Alex Zweydoff from ClearLead Digital. We are so excited to be here with you today. We're talking about 25 years in property management experience. You have two very experienced property managers here giving you advice for property managers that share with you from what we've learned over the 25 years we've done this collectively.
I'm Lacy Hendricks with ClearLead Digital and Hendricks Property Management. I've been here a little over 11 years, and let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes. Alex, what's your first lesson that you learned?
First, number one, for me, advice for property managers is relationships are everything. Make sure that you are building those relationships not only with your owners, but your tenants, vendors, and your fellow property managers. You can use those, leverage those relationships equidistantly, and make sure that you are always trying to propel forward in your business. Have a customer service relationship with your tenant. Have those great relationships with your vendors because they always save the day, and your fellow property managers are always there for you to answer your questions when you're down or have a question. It took me a little while to learn when I first got into the business, and if I could go back and tell myself almost 16 years ago, a little tip, and this would probably be really work on building those relationships, not only with your owners, with your tenants, but with your vendors, and most importantly, your community of other property managers. You don't know how important that is going to be for you in your growth. When you really lock into the community, especially of other property managers, you're really able to have those conversations, ask for help. Some of my big propelling moments in this business were learning from other property managers. And once I were able to lock into those relationships and really make sure that one, I wasn't just taking from them, but also giving back to them. Because everyone has different perspectives on things. And I think that really one thing that we do in this industry really well is we are able to not have that competitiveness and we're always willing to help each other. So I think that definitely going into those relationships and making sure that you're being fruitful, the relationship with your tenants, your vendors, and your fellow property managers, as well as your owners, you have to treat, well, I think a lot of companies go wrong is they treat their tenants like tenants and not like customers. They are a customer. You want them to stay longer so that you're able to, one, have that happy owner. They're able to make more money and they're able to have that kind of cohesive. The longer the tenant stays, the better situation. And I think that a lot of times people forget that customer service aspect to the tenant and it really hinders them in the long run. When I got to Allegiant, something that was really great for me was the relationships that I saw within NARPM. Those allowed me to really learn a lot and get personal growth in the property management industry. I can attest most of my big propelling moments of just loving the industry, but also learning the industry was from NARPM events.
What is
And
not?
me and Lacey started ClearLead Digital because of our friendship and knowing each other through NARPM. And for those of you who don't know what NARPM is the National Association of Residential Property Managers. And if you aren't a part of NARPM, you need to really consider it.
All right. Well, a piece of advice for property managers from me for lesson number two is systems beat the grind every time. You want to set up solid systems. One early mistake that we made was keeping everything on spreadsheets, on sticky notes. We literally had a wall on the board that was a marker board that had vacancy on it. But you know what happens when a bunch of little kids run into a marker board that's got drawings all over it? They erase it. And then you have no idea what's going on in your entire company. Embrace the software that has been created by the people in our industry. It's really great. I'm a lover of Appfolio. I love Rent. Those are the only two that I've really had much experience with, but I know there's some other really great products out there. And I think the key takeaway from this lesson is consistency is better than personality when it comes to scaling. If you're ready to grow your business, you need to have solid systems in place so that you can provide a consistent experience for both your owners and tenants.
Lesson number three for me is legal knowledge protects you, and you're not an attorney, but you should play one on TV. No. Lesson number three is make sure you're staying up to date on all the legalities and legal knowledge that are surrounding landlord tenant law. Here in Florida, we've had a lot of changes these past few years, and it's really brought that to the forefront for our industry here. But over the past years, people knew the lease, they knew the basics, they knew the basic statute 80, which is here in Florida, but they weren't really going to learn more about it. And I was so lucky to have Harry Heiss as a mentor. He reminded me recently that it was 15 years that he's known me, and that kind of freaked me out a little bit. But he's always been there to answer questions and bounce things off, and he's always been very curious about it. And I wish that everyone had that because there is a very good space. You're able to advocate for your clients so much better when you understand the laws and when you can explain that clearly to your clients, because that's your job. You are an educator. I think at the end of the day, education is your number one role.
So, lesson
Oh my
four, silent killer. Lesson four, vacancy is the silent killer. For real. You let that property sit there for 1 or 2 months and you've wiped out so much income for your owner. And when you're doing that turn, you don't want to cut corners, because the people that are going to walk through that property are going to see that you did a sloppy job, and then you're going to end up going back in there and redoing it anyways. So just make sure you have your turns down perfectly, and that way you can reduce vacancy. And you need to work on renewal incentives, your communication, and doing proactive maintenance so that you're doing the least amount of maintenance possible and keeping that days on market as short as possible. Alex, what's lesson number 5?
Lesson number 5, it's one of my favorite, is professional growth is business growth. We're very actively involved with NARPM, the National Association of Residential Property Managers, for those of you that don't know. We each have our RMP designation, which is the residential management professional, but making sure that you're really going forward every day. Here's the thing, we get very stagnant in this business. Things get very redundant, but things are always changing around us. So making sure that you're staying, leveling up, and surrounding yourself with fellow professionals. So professional growth is business growth.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this quick fire challenge of advice for property managers. Over 25 years experience between Alex and I with Allegiant Management Group, Hendricks Property Management, and ClearLead Digital. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend.